and welcome back to Friday Reads, where we help you find your next read. I'm Jill.
And I'm Julie, and today we have kind of a fun pick. Jill was scrolling through different events that happened in July, and one of the days she found was Gorgeous Grandmother's Day. So today's books feature grandmothers and maybe the grandfather or two, but Jill, what's your first pick?
So my first one is The Unmaking of June Farrow by Adrienne Young. I've seen this on TikTok as like one of the books you should read, and I'm currently reading it, and I am hooked.
Ooh.
In the small mountain town of Jasper, North Carolina, June Farrow is waiting for fate to find her. The Farrow women are known for their thriving flower farm, and the mysterious curse has plagued their family line. The whole town remembers the madness that led to Susanna Farrow's disappearance, leaving June to be raised by her grandmother and haunted by rumors. It's been a year since June started seeing and hearing things that weren't there. Faint wind chimes, a voice calling her name, a mysterious door appearing out of nowhere, the signs of what June always knew was coming. But June is determined to end the curse once and for all, even if she must sacrifice finding love and having a family of her own. After her grandmother's death, June discovers a series of cryptic clues regarding her mother's decades-old disappearance, except they only lead to more questions. But could the door she once assumed was a hallucination be the answer she's been searching for? The next time it appears, June realizes she can touch it and walk past the threshold. And when she does, she embarks on a journey that will not only change both the past and the future, but also uncover the lingering mysteries of her small town and entangle her heart in an epic star-crossed love. The Unmaking of June Farrow.
I'm glad you're enjoying that one. My first pick is A Grandmother Begins the Story by Michelle Porter, published in 2023. Award-winning author Michelle Porter makes her fiction debut with an enchanting and original story of the unrivaled desire for healing and the power of familial bonds across 5 generations of Métis women and the land and bison that surround them. Carter is a young mother recently separated. She's curious, angry, and on a quest to find out what the heritage she only learned of in her teens truly means. Allie, Carter's mother, is trying to make up for the lost years with her firstborn and to protect Carter from the hurt she herself suffered from her own mother. Lucy wants the granddaughter she's never met to help her join her ancestors in the afterlife. And Genevieve is determined to conquer her demons before the fire inside burns her up, with the help of the sister she lost but has never been without. Meanwhile, Mame in the afterlife knows that all their stories began with her. She must find a way to cut herself from the last threads that keep her tethered to the living, just as they all must find their own paths forward. This novel, told by a chorus of vividly realized, funny, wise, confused, struggling characters, including descendants of the bison that once freely roamed the land, heralds the arrival of a stunning new voice in literary fiction. So this sounded like an interesting pick to me. A Grandmother Begins the Story.
I like that. Well, you might recognize your grandmother in this one, or maybe yourself. The Funeral Ladies of Ellery County by Claire Swinarski. Esther Larson has been cooking for funerals in the Northwoods of Wisconsin for 70 years. Known locally as the Funeral Ladies, she and her cohort have worked hard to keep the mourners of Ellery County fed. It is her firm belief that there is very little warm casserole and piece of cherry pie can't fix. But after falling for an internet scam that puts her home at risk, the proud Larson family matriarch is the one in need of help these days. Iris, Esther's whip-smart Gen Z granddaughter, would do anything for her family and her community. As she watches her friends and family move out of their lakeside town into bigger and better things, Iris wonders why she feels so left behind in the place she's desperate to make her home. But when Cooper Welsh shows up, she finally starts to feel like she's found the missing piece of her puzzle. Cooper is dealing with becoming a legal guardian of his younger half-sister after his beloved stepmother dies. While their celebrity chef father is focused on his booming career and top-ranked television show, Cooper is still hurting from a public tragedy he witnessed last year as a paramedic and finding it hard to cope. With Iris in the gorgeous Ellery County, though, he hopes he might find the home he's looking for. It doesn't seem like a community cookbook could possibly solve their problems, especially one where casseroles have their own section and cream of chicken soup mix is the most frequently used ingredient. But when you mix the can-do spirit of Midwestern grandmothers and the stubborn hope of a boy raised by food, plus a dash of long-awaited forgiveness, things might just turn out okay. It includes recipes from the Funeral Ladies.
That sounds like a book I would like, actually. Okay, I can't do my pick without a murder book. So, Murder Runs in the Family by Tamara Berry, published this year. Amber thought she had troubles before her grandma was arrested for murder. Amber Winslow's life has taken a serious turn for the worse when an impulsive decision forces her to flee her former life, carrying nothing but the clothes on her back. She heads to the sunny state of Arizona and the luxury accommodations of her grandmother's retirement community. Never mind that Amber's never actually met her estranged and eccentric grandmother. As soon as she sneaks her things into Seven Ponds, a place she doesn't technically qualify for, and she definitely can't afford, she's shocked to learn that George Vincent, aka the Admiral, was found dead the very night of her arrival. Much to Amber's dismay, no one seems particularly distraught over the news of the Admiral's death or the disappearance of his prized pet tortoise. All anyone can talk about is a missing Vincent family heirloom, and they're quick to blame Jade for both the Admiral's murder and the theft of the priceless ring. Amber doesn't want to admit the woman she's just met, and who accepted her without question, could be a villain, and she's determined to clear her grandmother's name no matter the cost.
Oh.
So, gotta clear Grandma before she's arrested for murder.
That's a new one. Not heard that genre before. This is Leave It to Us by A.C. Arthur. When the Butler sisters learn they've inherited their beloved grandma Betty's beach house in South Carolina, they have mixed emotions, to put it mildly. Successful Lana seems to have it all. Nobody needs to know that her marriage and finances are falling apart. For her, there is no other option but to sell the beach house. Overburdened, Yvonne already has priorities, including being her mother's sole caretaker. Then there's the sentimental Tammy. She can't let her sisters just unload their past without at least one last trip to the Sea Islands. They don't have a choice. If they're there to collect, they must reunite and renovate at their grandmother's bequest. During the life-changing month on the shore, the Butler sisters not only uncover family secrets, but start to repair their own broken bond through personal revelations and a newfound desire to keep their family legacy alive. It's not going to be easy, but it's a beautiful start. Leave It to Us by A.C.
Arthur. My next pick is quite a remarkable woman. This is Grandma Gatewood's Walk, the inspiring story of the woman who saved the Appalachian Trail. This is by Ben Montgomery, and it was published back in 2014. Emma Gatewood told her family she was going on a walk and left her small Ohio hometown with a change of clothes and less than $200. The next anybody heard from her, this genteel, farm-reared 67-year-old great-grandmother had walked 800 miles along the 2,050-mile Appalachian Trail. And in September 1995, having survived a rattlesnake strike, 2 hurricanes, and a run-in with gangsters from Harlem, she stood atop a mountain in Maine and sang the first verse of America the Beautiful and proclaimed, "I said I'll do it, and I've done it." Grandma Gatewood, as the reporters called her, became the first woman to hike the entire Appalachian Trail alone,
Wow.
as well as the first person, man or woman, to walk it twice and 3 times. Gatewood became a hiking celebrity and appeared on TV and in the pages of Sports Illustrated. The public attention she brought to the little-known footpath was unprecedented. Her vocal criticism of the lousy, difficult stretches led to bolstered maintenance and very likely saved the trail from extinction. The author was given unprecedented access to Gatewood's own diaries, trail journals, and correspondence, and interviewed surviving family members and those she met along her hike, all to answer the question so many asked, why did she do it? The story of Grandma Gatewood will inspire readers of all ages by illustrating the full power of the human spirit and determination. Even those who know of Gatewood don't know the full story, a triumph from pain, rebellion from brutality, and hope from suffering. So quite a lady, Grandma Gatewood.
Quite a gorgeous grandma there. One to celebrate. 100. This is my nonfiction selection. 100 Saturdays, Stella Levy and the Search for a Lost World by Michael Frank. This was published in 2022. The remarkable story of a 99-year-old Stella Levy, whose conversations with the author over a course of 6 years bring to life the vibrant world of Jewish roads, the deportation to Auschwitz that extinguished 90% of her community, and the resilience and wisdom of the woman who lived to tell the tale. Stella Levi had never before spoken in detail about her past. Then she met Michael Frake. He came to her Greenwich Village apartment one Saturday afternoon to ask her a question about the Judaria. Neither of them could know this was the first of 100 Saturdays, over the course of 6 years, that they would spend in each other's company. During these meetings, Stella traveled back in time to conjure what it felt like to come of age in this legendary island in the eastern Aegean, which the Italians conquered in 1912, began governing as an official colonial possession in 1923, and continued to administer even after the Germans seized control in September 1943. The following July, the Germans rounded up all 1,700 plus residents of the Juderia and sent them first by boat and then by train to Auschwitz on what was the longest journey, measured by both time and distance. And of any of the deportations, 99% of them were murdered upon arrival. Stella is a magical Monder Scherzen, I don't know what that word is, whose stories reveal what it was like to grow up in an extraordinary place in an extraordinary time, and to construct a life after that place has vanished. 100 Saturdays is a portrait of one of the last survivors drawn at a nearly impossible moment, as well as the account of a tender and transformative friendship between the storyteller and listener, offering a powerful reminder that the ability to listen thoughtfully is a rare and significant gift. So, 100 Saturdays.
My next book is a nonfiction pick also. This is In Bibi's Kitchen, the recipes and stories of grandmothers from the 8 African countries that touch the Indian Ocean. That's quite a mouthful. By Hawa Hassan. This was published in 2020. Grandmothers from 8 Eastern African countries welcome you into their kitchens to share flavorful recipes and stories of family, love, and traditions in this transporting cookbook meets travelogue. Jessica B. Harris, who's a food historian, journalist, and public speaker, said, "Their food is alive with the flavor of mangoes, cinnamon, dates, and plantains, and rich with the history of the continent that had been a culinary unknown for much too long." In this incredible volume, Somali chef Hawa Hassan and food writer Julia Turshen present 75 recipes and stories gathered from Bibis, or grandmothers as they're known, from the 8 African countries. Most of those were at the backbone of the spice trade, and many of them exporters of things like pepper and vanilla. We meet women such as Ma Ashara, who helps tourists see the real Zanzibar by teaching them how to make her famous bread with carrots and green pepper. We meet Ma Vicky, who now lives in suburban New York and makes stewed plantains with beans and beef to bring the flavor of Tanzania to her American home. And Ma Gahenet from Eritrea, who shares her recipes for flatbread and ground chickpea stew. Through the writing and her own personal story, the women and the stories behind the recipes come to life in this book. There's beautiful photography shot on location and food photography by Jennifer May. This cookbook uses food to teach us all about families, war, loss, migration, refuge, and sanctuary.
Oh, it's an amazing cover too. The pictures are probably really good in this.
Yeah, it's really a beautiful cookbook. So if you want to check out 8 grandmothers from African countries that touch the Indian
Grandmother
Ocean.
recipes, what better way to celebrate? So this one has a grandfather in it, but he does have some love interests who are probably grandmas. The Swan Song by Helen Hildebrand. This is Nantucket number 4. It was published last year, and it might be her last book. At least it's the last in this series. In the grand finale of The Queen of the Beach read Ellen Hildebrand's beloved Nantucket novels, there's a new couple in town, and they instantly shake things up. Amid the extravagant parties on land and sea, there's trouble on the island, forcing the chief of police, Ed Capanish, to postpone his retirement and changing the fabric of life on the picturesque island forever. After 35 years serving as chief of police on the island of Nantucket, Ed Capanish's heart can no longer take the stress. But his plans to retire are thwarted when, with only 3 days left to serve, he receives a phone call. A $22 million summer home, recently purchased by the flashy new couple in town, the Richardsons, has burned to the ground. The Richardsons are far from hurt. In fact, they're out on the water, throwing a lavish party on their yacht. But when news of the fire reaches them, they discover that their personal assistant has vanished. The chief is well acquainted with the Richardsons, and his daughter is best friends with the now missing girl, leaving him no choice but to postpone his retirement and take the double case. On a small island like Nantucket, the Richardsons shook things up from the second they stepped onto the scene, throwing luxurious parties and doing whatever they could to gain admittance to the coveted lunches of the Field and Oar Club, with increasing desperation. They instantly captured the attention of local real estate agent Fast Eddie and the town gossip Blonde Sharon, both dealing with their own personal dramas. Blonde Sharon is going through a divorce, and in order to avoid becoming a cliche, she's enrolled in a creative writing class, putting her natural affinity for scandal towards more noble purpose. To solve the case of the fire and track down his daughter's best friend, the chief will have to string together the pieces of the lives of all those characters and more, rallying his strength for his final act of service to the tight-knit community he knows and loves. This was first published last year, and Netflix's Perfect Couple is based on this. Is the second season will be based on this book, according to the internet.
The interweb. Popular author at our library.
She sure is. Beach reads.
My last book is also a nonfiction book. This is In Exile, Rupture, Reunion, and My Grandmother's Secret Life by Sadia Ansari, and this was published last year. In a deeply personal investigation, award-winning journalist Sadia Ansari takes us across 3 continents and back a century as she seeks the truth behind a family secret. Why did her grandmother Tahira abandon her 7 children to follow a man from Karachi to a tiny village in Punjab? And though she eventually left him, Tahira remained estranged from her children for nearly 2 decades. Who was she in those years when she was no longer a wife or a mother? For Sadia herself, uninterested in marriage and children, the question begets another. What space is available for those women who defy cultural expectations? Through her inquiries, the author discovers what her Diddy's life was like during that separation, and she confronts difficult historical truths: the pervasiveness of child marriage, how partition made refugees of millions of families like hers, and how the national freedoms achieved in 1947 did not extend to women's lives. She sees the threads of this history woven through each generation, and finds an unexpected sense of belonging in a culture that at first blush shuns women for wanting lives of their own. This is a pretty thin book, and this sounded like an interesting read to me, and a very personal story for her. So, In Exile, Rupture, Reunion, and My Grandmother's Secret Life.
Wow. Well, if you're a grandmother, or you want to remember your grandmother or something, or you just want to celebrate a gorgeous grandma in your life on July 23rd, you can do it with these books.
There you go, Jill. We thank you for watching our videos. You can find us on the Kimberly Public Library website, Facebook channel, and YouTube. So until next time, Jill and I thank you for watching.
Bye!